much, Lasky Hirlock. I think it's been a very sad few days for Fine Gael, which, like most political parties in this country, are a family or a tribe as such. And John was our leader for a very long time. So there's a huge tint of sadness there. And when I look at John Bruton, I look at a man who gave definition to politics, who gave definition to Fine Gael, who gave definition to his role as a leader, as Taoiseach. He was absolutely unequivocal in his opposition to the IRA and to terrorism. And that steadfastness on that issue, along with other Fine Gael people like Paddy Cooney, was a real source of comfort to the thousands of people, particularly in the border region, that rejected the horrific violence of the IRA in this country. And John Bruton stood strongly and steadfastly against that. And he did that in a time that was dangerous for it to be done so. The death of Senator Billy Fox, who served alongside John Bruton, was a turning point in John's career when he saw that violence. And John Bruton was a very strong man of courage in the way he took on the IRA at all opportunities. And that's why he was a defining politician for me, leader, because he took a stand. He stood for something. He said what he believed in, whether it was popular or not. He made his views known. And you don't see that in the modern era of politics, where most politicians try to be all things to all people. He took a stand, he was prepared to argue that stand, and he took on all comers. And I think standing for things, and I think taking a stand on an issue is a really good, important trait for a politician to have. And John Bruton had that because he was a man of very strong opinions, even if those opinions went against the common consensus of people. And that common consensus was spoke about John Redmond and Redmondism. And I would consider myself, and indeed my family's history, comes from that Redmondite tradition, comes from that Irish parliamentary party tradition, comes from that home rule tradition. And that's a tradition that I'm very proud to be a part of. And it was a tradition that John was proud to be a part of as well. And when I'm sitting here in the back row with my colleagues, Senators Curry, Cummins and Ahern, all of our family members served with John Bruton in Dáil Éireann over different periods of time. And the fact that John, even up until his recent illness, was always there to offer advice and support to newer members of the Fine Gael parliamentary party showed how in tune he still was with the party that he led and the party that he loves so much. And I look back to when my own late uncle, Brendan McGahon, died, who served with him for 20 years. And in his obituary in 2017, it said, former Fine Gael Taoiseach John Bruton provided probably was the best summing up of Mr. McGahon's career. Brendan was an exceptionally courageous politician who stood up for the institutions of this state. He was a true original who thought for himself. Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to repay that compliment to John Bruton, because John Bruton was the definition of a true original. He was the definition of a courageous politician. And he was the definition of a parliamentarian who served this state with exceptional ability. And he'd be greatly missed by all of us who had the pleasure to know him. And to finish up, and not to detract from the seriousness of this, but Senator Cassells may remember this, to James Bond and John Bruton, and I'll tell you what they have in common. As a child, I was utterly obsessed with James Bond. I still am to this day. And in 1999, my late mother took me to Navan, where Pierce Brosnan was being offered the freedom of Navan. And I went over there dressed as James Bond, and I didn't get to meet Pierce Brosnan, unfortunately, and I didn't get my picture with Pierce Brosnan. But my late mother and my father introduced me to my uncle's boss and my dad's boss, John Bruton, who was speaking at that event. And while I didn't get a picture with James Bond, I got a picture with John Bruton at the age of 9 years of age. And I still have that picture to this day. And I say this frankly, we will never see the likes of John Bruton again in this House for the quality of parliamentarian that he was. And we as a state were very lucky to have a person of his ability, a person of his calibre, and a person of his decency lead this country. Well done.